Hi, this is Emily from ComicMix. I'm here with Ashley Eckstein of Her Universe. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Ashley, a lot of people know you now for the clothing line that you do through Her Universe. And I know that a few years ago, the market for women's clothing in nerd and geekdom was a lot different. So can you talk a little bit about how you made that change that I am now seeing in the world, that I think a lot of it comes from Her Universe and companies like that?
You know, it came from a place because I'm a fangirl myself, and I just wanted merchandise made for me, made for women. And I was tired of shopping in the men's section, in the boys section.
Word!
Yes. I had one too many boys t-shirts.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially being the voice of a Star Wars character, I was going to all of these Star Wars events constantly, and I had nothing to wear.
Right.
And I see all the guys in these cool shirts, and I'm wearing just like, you know, dresses, but they weren't Star Wars. And so it came from a place where I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew that there was a lot of other girls like me. In fact, I did my research and found out that half of all sci-fi and fantasy fans are women.
Yes.
And so I started Her Universe because I felt like fangirls needed a community where they could feel accepted and celebrated and rewarded and, you know, have cute stuff to wear.
I absolutely agree with that. So I was telling you before, about 3 years ago, I wrote an article, and it was basically about how I couldn't even find a women's t-shirt for me in any of the fandoms. And now there's been a huge sea change. So can you talk a little bit about what you've seen as you've worked on your company in the industry of geek fashion, especially for women?
Absolutely. Well, I think people realized that fangirls are there, and oh, by the way, we have our own money to spend. And so obviously when people see that, okay, there is a growing market, an untapped market, that that maybe they should cater to them. And so that's why we've seen so many more options. And, you know, I'm just excited for female fans in general that now we have so many options. When I first started, you know, my hope was that fangirls could walk into a store and they would have their own section of sci-fi and fantasy merchandise for them, and they wouldn't even have to walk to the guy's side of the store. And, you know, I feel like that is really starting to be the case. You know, we still have a little ways to go, but it's changed dramatically. And also that's because of social media. You know, fangirls have found their voices. They found their voices through Twitter and Facebook and blogs and Tumblr and Instagram. And, you know, the fact that they can, with a simple post, you know, get straight to these companies is incredible. And so I really think fangirls have found their voices, and we're now speaking up and demanding change. And it's so exciting.
I think that's great. So you were saying how you liked the idea of people being able to go into a store, women being able to go into a store and get their own section of geekwear. And now when I go into Hot Topic, for instance, I can't even get out of that store because I'm like, I just want to stay there and buy all the things.
Yes.
So now I went to the fashion show this year, and if I'm correct, last year was the first one?
Yes.
Yeah, and so my understanding is from that came this limited line of 6 pieces of clothing that you did with Hot Topic from the designers who won last year's competition.
Yep, that's correct.
So can you talk a little bit about that experience and how the fashion show came about and what the reaction has been?
Absolutely. Well, the Her Universe fashion show really was inspired by the fans. This is, as with Her Universe, this is our 6th Comic-Con. And what I've noticed year after year is, you know, girls, they usually cosplay maybe 1 or 2 days, but then the other days they're in their own geek-inspired fashion.
Yeah.
And for so long, because there was no options, fangirls were creating their own designs and still are, and using the halls of San Diego Comic-Con as their runway. And so I was watching this happening, and I'm like, you know what? We need to give fangirls an actual runway to walk on, like in a real fashion show. Yes. And so I approached Comic-Con and I said, look, you know, so many of your attendees are female, and this would be something that would be really exciting to highlight the fangirl culture. And Comic-Con was so supportive.
Awesome.
And so, but I said, we got to go big. I mean, it's got to be a fashion show like straight out of Fashion Week.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not like Fashion Week, then you don't do it at all. It's got to be really special.
Yeah.
And so we and also with Comic-Con, you know, really being based and celebrated. With everything being educational, we wanted to make it an educational process. And so with it being a design competition, we wanted to pick 2 winners, a judge's winner and an audience winner, and those winners will have the opportunity to design a Her Universe collection to be sold at Hot Topic. And so last year's winners, Amy Beth Christensen and Andrew McLean, they got to design a Marvel collection that debuted at Hot Topic in May, and it was their most successful licensed fashion collection in the history of Hot Topic. Like, that's
so
huge.
exciting. Yeah.
And so it's sold out literally in like 2 days.
I know.
Well, because of that, it's actually coming back. It's coming back to all the stores. It'll be back soon. As soon as I have a date, I'll announce it on all of our social pages.
Right.
But it's so exciting that this started with the fans at Comic-Con, and the fans are making change. So this year's winners, Lee Tall Platt and Kelly Sircone, are going to be working with us right away to develop a fashion collection for Hot Topic to come out next year. So I can't wait to get started.
So excited. Now, do you have any ideas yet as to what the theme of that collection is going to be?
We do. We do. It's not set yet, so I don't want to say.
Okay.
But potentially it is for a new license that we don't even have yet.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
we're working on that now, so knock on wood. I don't want to jinx anything.
Sure.
But we're very excited about the possibility.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'll tell you, yesterday I was wearing the Captain America dress, and the day before I was wearing the Loki dress from the line.
Wow.
And so many people wanted to take my picture. They came up to me. I love your dress. I went to the Fashionably Nerdy cocktail hour, and the people running it, the ladies running it, were like, "Let me take a picture of you." And I think one of them, is going to put it in her column that she's writing. So it was like everybody just is loving it. And I went to the fashion show, and I said to the person sitting next to me, I was like, "This is just like a real fashion show, but way more fun." Because everybody, they're so serious, and everybody was just having such a good time. And then I met some of the folks from the different fashion blogs and stuff, and they said that some of them had been in the show. And all I'm hearing is what a great experience it has been.
Good.
So have you met fans who have said that, like, this has really, changed the way they look at how women geeks are accepted in fandom and stuff like that? Have you had any experiences with fans coming up to you and talking about what that's meant to them?
We have. And it's... I'm so glad that everyone's had that experience. First and foremost, people have talked about the fact and noticed the fact, which we've had models of all sizes on our runway.
Yes.
And that's something that was really, really important to me. I said, we are going to have all sizes, plus sizes, all shapes, sizes, ethnicities, like any fangirl that calls himself a fangirl that wants to model, we want them to be on that runway.
Sure.
And that's been noticed, and I'm excited that fans are talking about that. And with the designers themselves, when they're chosen for the show, they have the option to either design their own, they have the option to either model their own design, or they can provide a model. So I personally get excited to see these designers who are not professional models up on the runway modeling their own design.
I was enjoying that. I knew that some of them had I didn't know who in all the situations, but I knew some of them were the actual designers, and I was like, look at them strutting their stuff, also having made the costume, because that's what, before Her Universe and other, licenses that came around, that's what people were doing. And so it's great to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that to me was really important. And then to hear, fans that were either Her Universe models that opened the show with our designs, or either the designers that competed in the show, to hear about their positive experience has been great, because several of them, even if they didn't win the show, they've actually gotten jobs from being in our show.
That's great.
One designer last year now works for Hot Topic. Andrew McLean ended up getting a job with HalloweenCostumes.com.
Yes, I was sitting next to them, actually. That was so much fun. Yeah,
awesome.
And they were really really enjoying the show.
Great. Well, I think that's just what it's all about. It's providing the opportunity to these designers and shining the spotlight on fans.
I think that's so great. So as a last question to wrap up here, can you tell us what do you think is your favorite fan thing that you've seen designed and just seen walking around at a con, or maybe one or two like favorite women's fan costumes?
Oh wow, my favorite. I've seen a TARDIS couture gown that literally is like the console inside the TARDIS, and
cool.
It was just beautiful, and it lit up. And I've seen her at a couple of cons, and Tracy Hines was one of our judges this year, and I love her cosplay and her style and her fashion. So I look forward to always seeing her at cons and seeing what she does. But there's too many to pick. So,
well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.